I'm Ciaran Doran and welcome to A Table for Four. Today I'm going to reveal I'm the Very Secret Florist. That's what our workshop is about. It's about floristry, but floristry with a difference. With my three lovely guests, we're just going to look at some processes for using flowers in a really creative way, but we're going to try and reuse as many reusable products as we can. We're going to look at the benefits of reusing flowers, working with dried flowers. We've got some lovely materials, and we've also got a lovely fresh delivery of my favorite plant, eucalyptus, which is beautiful to work with. We're going to do some making, we're going to do some creating, but most of all I want to hear your chat about your creative journeys. So before we start, I'd like the audience to give a lovely warm welcome to our three guests who will introduce themselves in a moment. Hello, I'm going to start with you. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us where you've come from today?
Yeah, so I'm Anita Morrison. I have come from Dramara, so the sleeve crib just at the bottom. Yeah. It's lovely there, and I own a more rustic arts, so I make and teach people how to make pebble art.
And what does pebble art consist of?
So basically it's all natural materials, so it's really good for your sort of mental health, getting out walking and finding and sourcing all these natural materials. So everything is reused, and something really insignificant like a pebble can go on to have such meaning for people to hang in their homes.
Because it's just the texture and the look. Yeah. And the potential to turn it into something. Hello, I'd love you to introduce yourself to the audience and tell us a little bit about yourself and your creative journey.
My name's Linda Barbour. I'm a screen print artist. I'm a member of Belfast Print Workshop and Seacourt in Bangor, and I take photographs of things and people that, you know, attract my attention, and then I would screen print. We would send our pieces of work off. A collection of artists would have it, and it would go globally all over and to different galleries and stuff.
So we'll hear a little bit more about how other people can find about your pebble art as well. Let me have your name and tell me a little bit about yourself and perhaps your creative journey.
Hi, my name's Kelly and I'm from Ballymena, and I have been very fortunate to be working in a primary school, and I've had a few courses with different people that are teaching me how to apply my craft skills that I'm learning with the school kids at school.
Well, let's hope that you might be able to take some bits and pieces home with you today that you can carry on. So I'm going to get started. The rules are, there are no rules, but the one thing I have done as the Very Secret Florist is broken the mould of that really traditional way of doing floristry, which was very structured, very prescriptive, and there was a certain way and a certain flower that we use. I love items like this, which coming from London, but really loving now living in a kind of semi-rural, you know you're in a semi-rural place where you live when you get stuck behind a tractor on your way to work. I've brought in some of my favourite pieces because I want you to look at things that you can use that they don't have to be seasonal. You can always buy dried flowers. If you are lucky enough to live, you're in Ballymena, like a big farming community. If you are lucky to live near a place where you can get these products, please do. Just be careful that you don't bring home all the little bits and pieces that you might find in a field. You don't want a dormouse to sleep in your beautiful arrangement. But I've brought this in just to show you a little bit of my style as a Very Secret Florist. It's a little bit rustic. There's going to be a lot of chucking on the floor today. There we go. A little bit rustic. So I want you to feel that you can use these in your arrangement, whatever you decide to do. We're going to be working with the wreath shape. So what I do is I start off with the template made from an embroidery hoop that's about 23 centimeters across, and I just used a saucer in the middle. What you want is to make sure that the circle that you cut in the middle, you've got enough room for your foliage to go through, to put your hand through. I've sometimes made wreaths where there isn't really enough room for everything to go through. I do really love that kind of Johnny Depp, Edward Scissorhands approach to anything dramatic. Fill it full, have it look really mystical, have lots of mystery and depth and everything going on. Anybody who comes to my classes will say that I do like to layer everything up and get as much into it as possible. Give things a little personality. So that is what is one suggestion, that you can begin to make up a little kit, have these ready. And what I do is, even if your cardboard has got a bend in it, don't worry about that. You can strengthen that. And what you actually do is, then this is the hard bit, you need your pizza cutter. And what I actually do is, I didn't use a knife, I use my scissors like this. Just be really careful if you're doing this at home. I scored it. And basically your cardboard is thin layer of cardboard, another layer of cardboard with the kind of corrugated cardboard in the middle, and that's what gives it the strength. And I literally am going to poke those. You can do it backwards and forwards or do them all one way. It's actually as if you were making a hat. That's your basis for, actually you could make quite a nice hat out of that as well. So what you would do then is do exactly the same. So you can see that's actually from the flower market where I buy a lot of my materials. So I've already done the difficult bit, which is the cutting out. And then you actually place those on top of each other. And I'm going to, for you, I just think if you left the pointy bits as well, it just gives another little dimension to your wreath. And what you would do is you would place those two on top of each other, but then place, before you string them together, you want something to give it a bit of height. So I save this wrapping paper, especially different times of year, there's a lot of this flying around, but I scrunch it even more. And you feel how strong that is. This is when it snaps in half. That's really durable. And what I do is create a layer of that and tie that on, maybe one layer, then put your top on and see how's that. It's up to you where you put your pieces. I quite like them poking out because you can always cut them off afterwards. What you want to do is literally create a shape that's got a little bit of volume in the middle, but you're not going to glue this, you're not going to staple it, you're going to use some really lovely natural twine. But then after that, my favorite material, raffia. And it's a beautiful, beautiful product that is, it lasts and it lasts. The one thing I would say, there's going to be a lot of clearing up here. What you do when you want to use your raffia, it's like if ever you've had to groom a pony's tail, you have to start somewhere. Best place to start is here. Just extract what you want before you cut it. Cut a bit of raffia off and tie it off, and then cut it. What you're left with is like a beautiful, almost stumpy, almost like a little Japanese paintbrush. I'm sure you've got plenty of brushes in your collection. So that's how we make our wreath shape, okay? So what I'm going to do is, if we can put the raffia on the floor for now, if we need it, we'll come back to it. So would you like to go that direction? And we can move everything forward a little bit. I think with the materials we've got here, we've got a bit of an option, and you're an artist, so you just take it to your creative limit. Kelly, what would you like to work on?
I'd like to try this,
Do you know
yes.
what? I thought you might. That really suits you. So what you have got that could go with that would be to add more of the yellow, and I think the eucalyptus would really add a detail. What we've got in here is our kits. Just be really careful using the materials. I'm going to let you have this and just be really careful using it, but I'm sure you know how to use it. If you're cutting the metal, let me do that for you. What you can probably find is you might be able to pull some of it will pull off, and then when it comes to that, I will cut that for you. So just be really carefully, Rise, cut away. So if I cut off a few bits for you, and just remember what we're talking about, balance, shape, volume, and there's some yellow ribbon there that you can take as well. Even when you've cut all your bits and pieces off, you can still give yourself quite accidental cuts on the, I'll leave one bit quite long for you. What I want you to do is be really careful of any bits left over. So for all intents and purposes, I'm just putting it on the floor. So that's your little bundle of yellow. So do maybe add a bit of raffia as well to give it a bit of bit of volume to change the shape slightly, but keep that at 12 o'clock unless you want to change it, but it seems to naturally. So you're going to carry on with that one. You're going to carry on with that, and you're going to make you're going to have a go at this. I'm going to desperately try and make you some more room. So we've got secateurs here. We've got, if anybody would prefer a bigger one, but I think I'd like you to copy that. And, you know, you could always take that home with you as well to continue at home, which might be quite nice. So that's your take home one. But as you can see, and I'll show that to the audience, to me, that is my favourite type of wreath. It's a bit shabby chic. It would look great on I've got a new front door that's mainly glass. So I would have that just kind of floating using a suction hook. And I would be really proud to have that. So I'm going to gift this one to you to finish at home. But what I want you to do is have a look at what eucalyptus, actually, if you pass me that, that's eucalyptus now, and that's when it's dry. So what you're going to do is when you take some home is bend that round, and believe me, it will smell beautiful and it dries beautifully as well. So we'll just keep that over there for you. So I've got some books here just to show you when you're out and about on your travels, always look in your second-hand shops. My favourite occupation is looking for old floristry books because they are just some people look at books for hairstyles, some people look at books just to see how things were written, because delivery of information has changed so dramatically. We're so icon-led now that you don't really read many instructions now for things. You get a live demonstration, whereas prior to this saturation of available information, you might have 20 stages of how to make a cottage pie. That's how I learned at school, you know, from prepare your work surface, get your potatoes, peel your potatoes. This was all written down. And I still need that information. I wouldn't say I'm the quickest of learners. I like to see it, but I like instructions. So books like this are great. And I think this is 20p. So if you're interested in floristry, some of the basics and dynamics haven't changed. What has changed is the materials that are used. That's gorgeous. That's really nice. So work away intuitively with that. So just a little word, do always look for secondhand books. Some of the pictures are not great, but what they do is, if you sometimes don't know what a flower is, you might see it in a book and kind of remember it. And it's amazing how flowers go in and out of fashion. So I'm just trying to show a couple of other things here. In the 1980s, a material, I think they call it baby's breath or gypsophilia,
Yes,
used to be really, really popular, so popular that I now can't bear to look at it. But actually fresh as a flower is absolutely beautiful. It's almost like the finest lace that you could imagine. That's lovely. Oh, I see, you're wrapping your edges and then I'll cut you some twine. It just says wrap.
To me.
That's looking fabulous.
Oh, see that stuff on the floor? I've got my eyes on that.
Oh, the raffia.
Yeah.
Kelly, could you pass us the raffia? Would you like me to cut some off for you?
Yes,
I love
please.
this.
That would be great.
I just want to go
Some scissors.
like this. It's like a, love this. I would say we've had some workshops here and none have been as messy as this. There's a lovely thing you can do as well. You don't always have to, I don't know, why don't you cut that and we'll tie it off before we cut it.
Right here?
Yeah, that's great. Another thing that you can do is all the materials you're using, you can take the lid of a shoebox, makes a great base for teaching children how to do quite small, quite stylish little displays. I've made them using you know, tiny tea sets and fairy lights and using the moss, cutting plants and maybe using some of the branches so they're like little trees. I want you to cut that just so you can feel.
Here?
If you cut above it there,
yes.
there you go.
And that'd be silly for me.
That's it. There you go.
I was at a flax farm recently. Yeah, I watched it all being dried out. They went through the whole
Where was
process. That's what I was trying to remember. I don't know, but it's about, I know it's about an hour's drive from here. I'm not sure. It's right out in the country. I hadn't even heard of the place, but
wow.
the lady came into the Belfast Print Workshop and did a talk.
Oh, wow.
And then you got tickets to go to the actual farm and watch the whole process of it all drying out.
Isn't it
It's
incredible?
fantastic. And they can actually make clothes. It can be down
So
quite soft,
The process
and
is,
you can make clothes from
do
it.
they grow it, they pick it,
Yeah. There's a certain time of the year, there's like when there's a flower on it that they don't like to use, but then they stack it all up, and then it's left to dry out, and then they have a wee area that it shows you how it's like a machine that you could do by hand.
That beats it.
Yes, and then there was a couple of ladies spinning from it. They'd got it so soft they're actually spinning the flax.
Wow. Did they have the bit where they comb it?
Oh yes.
Oh,
that's lovely.
I
It's like these
think-
big prongs, and they pull it through, and it's just beautiful.
Oh, what I'd love you to do is just hold that up to show everybody. Isn't that looking
I haven't
remarkable?
shaped it completely right yet.
I
but
think
it's a wee
that
base.
is.
I'm going
I
to
mean-
twist this round.
But if you wanted to double it up, do. But you don't have to. I
Well,
mean, you
I
could
thought-
save that to make your
I thought
Statue of Liberty
maybe
costume.
it might be too chunky with
Yeah.
corner, but we'll see.
I
we'll see.
think you can tell you're an artist. I love the way that's just taken on a natural shape. It almost looks like bread. It's got a
Yeah.
lovely rustic look to it.
Hold
Kelly,
it
are
in
you happy carrying
place.
on? I can't see you having any difficulties there.
I
That's
am.
looking
I have
the-
sort of lost my 12 o'clock though, if you could just...
Do you want me to find it for you?
Here.
I would say that's it. Do you want me to hold that for you and you have a good look?
Yeah,
This
'cause
is
I'm
what I was
wondering-
saying. If you actually look at that, your eye will tell you where you think you might. What I love is think of the way things fall naturally in nature depending on the time of year. And in the summer, things have got the weight of blossom and fruit on them. In the winter, the plant is doing its best to survive, so it's more rigid. It's trying to be as strong as possible. Here, you've just got a beautiful, lot of movement in there. Actually, it's quite Philip Treacy. It's like a bit like a hat. That's absolutely gorgeous. That's stunning. And also, you could remember, if you ever wanted to then flip it, you could hang it from your ceiling and add extra bits coming down. But for now, I don't want to overcomplicate it. I think that's absolutely beautiful. If would you like me to give you? Oh, this is what happens when you are teaching the workshop rather than actually physically doing it. This is great. Normally, I buy Hessian because I use Hessian for rug making. I use it for sometimes making things using felt, using Hessian. But one thing I mainly use it for as well is when I'm doing floristry workshops. And this is great for wrapping around your items. So if you wanted any of this, the only thing I have a bit of an aversion to is Hessian being used as a bow, because I think that's been done so many times. You can use so many other different things for a bow. You can fashion brown paper into a bow. Oh, did you want me to cut that for you? That's
just
quite an
wondering what I was
interesting
gonna
one,
do
isn't
with
it?
it, yeah.
Look at that.
Maybe behind
That
it.
actually looks like it's made from silver, doesn't it? Like
Yeah.
the man in the moon. That's quite nice.
Is it a dried piece?
It
and then
is.
sprayed.
Yeah,
with
it's dried.
silver
But I
tint?
bought it sprayed and then it's just curled up naturally. People often ask me about drying flowers or pressing flowers. I love it in the summer. I collect up as much and as many hydrangea as I can. If you want to dry flowers but keep the colour, hydrangea is a really, really good one to start with. So you might start with a lovely bunch of pink and white and blue hydrangea. The colour of hydrangea will be dictated by the soil that it's in, whether it's acidic or not acidic, the soil. But when you dry flowers, if you dry them and keep them in a tiny, tiny bit of water, they will keep their colour. If you dry them out of water and just let them dry, they go brown. So I do a kind of half and half, let it go as far as it can to dry while it's kept its colour, then take it out. The trouble is, once it's dry, it's quite brittle, it's quite vulnerable, quite difficult to work with. So if I had bought dried hydrangea here today to work with, by the time we actually use it, it disintegrated. But what you can do, say somebody wanted for a one-off occasion to wear a hydrangea headband, it's the type of thing that I would glue onto hessian, and then I would get a headband and wrap the hessian around and keep the hydrangea on it, kind of attach it to something else, or even put a very fine bit of backing of paper or something onto the back of hessian. A trick you can use is take cardboard, stick a layer of cardboard on, and then peel off the top layer of the cardboard. So you're left with a backing that is, there we go. You work away, you take that bunch. So whatever you don't use, you can take away with you. So when you take the backing off the piece of cardboard you've got down, you're left with a fairly flexible piece that you can then glue onto again, but it just makes it easier. Cardboard is quite difficult to bend. So hydrangea I really do love, and peony, obviously. I think these are meant to be, peony leaf is a bit of a giveaway, because in reality a peony leaf is a much bigger shape, and it's green with a slight bit of crimson around the edge. But what you could do for these is just buy a little cardboard disc. You would sew the peony onto the top, and all you then need is a piece of elastic going from one side of the fascinator base to the other under your hair, and just sew it on the top, and that's it. Ascot, here we come. Oh, sorry, down races, here we come. Anita, let me have a look at that. That is absolutely gorgeous. Would you like me to hold it up for
please.
you? That's great, thank you.
Tried your idea with a flower, with the wire.
Yeah, I think that's really lovely. And do you know what you could do? In that little black zip pouch, there is some gold and some silver wire. If you carried on adding as much eucalyptus as you can do to that, and maybe stuck some on the back in the last remaining time that we've got, that would really fill it out. And if you didn't like it once you got it home, you could always take it off. But I think that is really, really looking quite beautiful. So
I'm glad you gave me the rustic one, because that's going to look really well.
Oh, fantastic.
studio,
You're very
'cause
welcome. So you have your own studio for your pebble art.
So it's Amore Rustic Arts, so this is fitting in perfect.
And do you have a website as well?
I do, it's amorerusticarts.com. Amore Rustic Arts.
Amore Rustic Arts.
Yeah.
And how long have you been creating your work?
So about 10 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, so it started off, I didn't have a job, so then I had my baby and I had some postnatal depression, so I took her to the beach to try and just clear my head and go for walks. And as she got older, then she started to hand me stones, like pebbles.
Oh, wow.
And she started making pebble snakes with me just for something to do. And it kind of, we thought then we might as well take our treasures home and make a picture out of it, and it just took off from there.
So do you place them onto a canvas or onto wood, or how do you create your pieces?
So it's very organic. Each sort of pebble tells me a different story, and I can see like an image come from that, and it's very organic.
And have you ever done a workshop in it?
So now I'm actually teaching people how to make it.
Wow.
I have a membership now that people can join, so every month they learn how to do a new piece.
Yeah. And how do people get in contact with you? Through your website?
Yeah, just my website or Facebook is.
And have you worked with other women who suffered from postnatal depression?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And different traumas and things.
Yeah.
It brings people to tears as well. It kind of gets them out of their head and into their hands, and they get that break from the chatter.
And what age is your daughter now?
13.
13. So after 10 years, the 3 years must have been quite a struggle to get to the stage.
Absolutely.
And then the fact that she was handing you pebbles, that's really, really lovely. That's wonderful. Thank you. It's really lovely working with you as well. Thank you. We're coming into the next couple of minutes. So what I'd really like you to do is, Anita, is there anything else you'd like to add to yours, or would you like a bit more?
What do you think? What else could I add?
Do you know what? I think that's looking really gorgeous.
Yeah.
I don't think you want to overdo it. I think It's absolutely perfect. The proportions are beautiful. What I've just spotted here, sorry to lean across you, this is the amazing thing that happens when you're doing workshops. You find bits and pieces left over. I just wonder, would you like to add that to it? That gives a quite a nice little detail. I think that's actually from a headband. So I'm going to let you take that and tie that on. Thank you so much, Anita, for coming in. It's really lovely to meet you. And you've made a beautiful piece. So what I'd like to do is just show that to the audience just one last time. Would you like me to hold that? So where would you like that placed? About there?
Yeah, somewhere down at the...
Thank you. That's lovely. And
You'll tuck
you're tacking, and what you can do is you can also tie that on with the string. Yeah. And I'm just going to take a moment to would you like me to? Oh, that is absolutely. Oh, this is beautiful. I absolutely love that. That's gorgeous.
I think it needs a wee bit more.
But you can do that. You can shape that. But do you know what the most amazing thing is? You feel how light that is. That weighs nothing. That's beautiful. I've just thought of one thing you could do. You could make another one very similar and put it on the back. So you've got like two hung together. But I also think that would be beautiful as a centerpiece on a table.
Oh yes, like and a candle in the middle maybe.
I wouldn't put a candle near this
like,
one.
You know, in the glass.
But you could have it as a decorative feature, definitely. And what I'll do is make sure that you go home with plenty of wheat and plenty of string, and even take some of the gold cord and gold metal as well.
Lovely.
Do you like that?
Yeah,
I think that's called jute. So you can use that in your garden, and it comes in green. I think you could do with a little bit more moss on that as well. Yeah. So just make sure you take some. Thank you so much. Kelly, over to you. You're just about to add a little piece of eucalyptus. Would you like me to hold that up for you with a bit of eucalyptus on it?
Yep.
Just so you can. You've got some lovely thistles going on there. Where's your 12 o'clock? Oh, I say. That is absolutely stunning. And what you probably would do is I'll take one piece. Where would you think of adding?
I think I've been going wrong this way, yeah.
And what you could do is actually feed that through, and that will fit. You don't have to do very much to make these fit. And just remember, as this dries, it will shrink. So just remember to keep your tails, these bit quite long, and tuck them in and intertwine them, because it gives you something that, what I would then do is I would tie that bit that way, if you see, using the same, and kind of bring it under there a little bit. And then you do the same on the other side. So that is Kelly's. I think you've got a natural flair for this. Did you enjoy doing it?
I really enjoyed doing
sorry.
it.
Boing!
And I loved your bits and pieces that you brought in from your previous door garland, knowing that the birds had eaten all the berries from it, and we can go again.
Had a nibble, and I think sometimes leaving things outside, you take a bit of a risk, but you just never know what's going to happen. I think the weather can be your best friend when you're looking for things to take on an element of natural decay. So, unfortunately, I'm really sad to say that's all we have time for on a table for four. I'd like the audience to give all our wonderful guests a lovely round of applause. So look forward to seeing you again soon for a table for four. In the meanwhile, thank you for joining us, and bye-bye.